Hey there, this is Christy Winfrey with Legacy Transactions, bringing you another Tuesday tip. This week, I want to talk about who has to sign at closing. Sounds like a very easy answer, but sometimes it can be a little bit more tricky. So, if your buyer or seller has never been married and is not married, then um, that's a pretty easy answer. It's just going to be them, right? However, let's say they are married, and let's say the buyer is married, but the buyer's spouse is not going to be on that loan. Because Texas is a community property state, there are still documents that they most likely may need to sign. So definitely want to check with the lender, and you also want to check with the title company to find out who is going to have to sign at closing. And then let's say the seller is married, but that seller's spouse has never lived in the house. Well, they may need to only sign a non-homestead affidavit. However, if that spouse has lived in the house, Texas is a community property state, and that spouse is also most likely going to need to sign closing docs as well. And it can definitely get really tricky. Let's say if the buyer or seller, or let's say if the seller has gone through a divorce, and there is a question on who has possession of the house based on the divorce decree. So those things are also going to come up that the title company is going to have to find out and get that information. The point is, though, that you definitely want to check in with the title company early on in the transaction to find out who has to sign closing documents, because if that spouse doesn't think they have to sign closing documents, they may make other arrangements and plan on not being at the title company. Sometimes it's an easy fix, but sometimes it could be a little more tricky. Let's say that spouse had travel plans and they were going to be traveling out of the country. You definitely want to make sure that you have plenty of time to let them know they have to be at the closing table. We hope you have a fantastic week, and we will talk to you next week.